flying the ILS runway 25 into Oxnard, California, and the approach plate clearly says autopilot coupled approaches are not authorized below 867 feet. What most pilots will do is they'll get down to that altitude and disconnect the autopilot and hand fly on raw data all the way down to decision altitude. I don't want you to do that. What I want you to do is use the flight director.
Just like in the jets, you should use the flight director to back up your hand flying when you're not on the autopilot. Press the autopilot off, flight director on button to activate the flight director. We call it activating flight director override mode.
Then follow the flight director command bars all the way down to decision altitude.
So I have a warning for you. The flight director mode overrides normal autopilot behavior. Normally, the annunciators are all off, and when you activate a mode directly on the 55X control head, the autopilot comes on. Flight director mode is different. If the flight director mode is on, activating a mode on the 55X control head will bring up the command bars, but leave the autopilot disengaged. Also, when you disconnect the flight director override remains on. Because the flight director buttons are in a completely different location from the other autopilot buttons, it's a human factors nightmare keeping track of which mode you are in. Sometime later, you could think that you are engaging the autopilot when you're really only programming the flight director. To avoid this, I always mode check the flight director buttons when I engage the autopilot. It doesn't hurt anything to press the autopilot on button, even if the autopilot is disconnected.
So when do the pros typically use their flight director? On approaches where the autopilot coupling is not authorized, on every takeoff, in turbulence, and in heavy icing situations. The pros use the flight director on every takeoff. Even though Cirrus does not recommend using the flight director on the ground, they're kind of in fear that people will take off with the autopilot engaged. It is perfectly legal for you to use it as long as you don't engage the autopilot below 400 feet.
Our second pro tip is use the flight director for IFR departures.
So before takeoff, we program the flight director to intercept the radial. Here's how we do it. With the LMO5 SID loaded in my Garmin, I'm going to program my PFD for the departure. I've got my heading bug set to 110, and at sea level, I've got my vertical speed indicator set at 1,200 feet. So now for the programming, I'm simply going to check my modes. In my mode check, I'm going to make sure I've got my autopilot off, flight director on button. I push it, and then I go to the autopilot panel. Then I'm going to push heading, nav, nav. I get heading, nav, GPSS. Here's a little trick for you. We found programming the flight director with VS out on the ground doesn't sometimes give you the modes that you want. So our little tip is, I'm going to push VS once, then hold VS in and push altitude. And now I get the mode annunciators of my mode check. Heading, nav, GPSS, alt, VS, flight director.
Cirrus 178 Alpha Sierra, runway 15, clear to 4 takeoff, wind 190 at 10.
Clear for takeoff, runway 15, Cirrus 8 Alpha Sierra. So as I get airborne here, the flight director is already commanding me to make the turn to the left 500 feet, speed checks, flaps, taps, on maps, and I'm now above my 400-foot autopilot limitation altitude. Autopilot on.
Our third pro tip is, if you are not using the flight director, turn it off.
As great as the flight director is, it can screw you up mentally if it gives you the wrong commands. So here's my advice. If you're circling to land, like the VOR Alpha approach here at Santa Monica Airport, and you're not using the flight director, get rid of it. The flight director is a great tool if you ever have to hand fly, but it can be a bit finicky. A little discipline, a little bit of practice will help you make the most of this really useful tool.